Footballtribeug channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Welcome back to yet another live broadcast. We're coming after 12 minutes past the hour of 11 p.m. Apologies, we are a little bit late, but like I keep saying, better late than never. So we are here to get the job done, to speak everything sport, to keep you up to date on the latest from the world of sport, from the world of transfers, from the world of football. Yeah. So do please join me on this journey as we look into the major stories of the day, including, but not limited to, Florian Wirtz, Nico Williams, Bryan Mbeumo, or Bryan Mbeumo, depending on how you pronounce the name. But that, and among other things, are some of the things we're going to be looking at for today's broadcast. It's always a pleasure to be back with you, to be here with you guys, to discuss everything sports, And I hope that many of you will join us for this broadcast, So, okay. Yes, so Barcelona, we'll be speaking about Barcelona, Nico Williams. And then Tottenham could also back in for Bryan Mbeumo. So, anyways, plenty of that going on. I'm making the rounds, but yeah, allow us our audience, apologies, and we get this conversation started. Then we will talk about Paul Pogba. We'll talk about Paul Pogba. Among the other names that have made the headlines as of this evening from the world of sport, from the world of transfers. Yep. So we're going to be speaking about that and much more in tonight's broadcast. So yeah, do grab your coffee, grab your glass of of water, your glass of juice, grab a popcorn. If you're already done with dinner, that's even better. And let's sit and enjoy this late night Friday edition of sport. So if you're just joining us, kindly like the broadcast, but also consider subscribing to the channel if you're new. Do let me know where you're joining us from before we get into the thick of tonight's conversation. Really, yeah, do me the absolute honor of liking the broadcast. Do me the absolute honor of liking the broadcast, but also subscribe to the channel if you're new. Robert Kesakos is my name, and I'm coming to you live from Kampala, Uganda. Do let me know where you're joining us from, what country you're in, how your day has been. It's been a bit of a hot Friday down in Kampala, bit of a long day, but yeah, we are good. So waiting to hear from you guys. Please consider liking the broadcast. Like the broadcast, but more importantly, subscribe to the channel and help us grow. Your efforts mean a lot to us. That second that you take to click on the like button, those 2 seconds that you take to click on the subscribe button mean a lot to us. So please go ahead and do that and help us on this journey of growth. But anyways, tonight we're going to be discussing that and more. So that and more. That's what we are going to be discussing. That's what we are going to be discussing from the world of sport. Florian Wirtz, I had some questions there about Florian Wirtz on whether the deal will be concluded. I had a Liverpool fan asking me yesterday. I think was it Pressing Kosi? I do not remember correctly, but somebody, it was either Pressing Kosi or Peter Parker, one of the two, was asking me about Paul Pogba. So we get to speak more about Paul Pogba. Yes, I did answer those questions, but we'll get to speak more about him and surrounding his future in regards to football. He's not retired from football, for goodness sake, really. So, anyways, before I get it all started, I want to send my shout outs to people like Pressing Kosi, to people like Peter Parker, people like Safa Ali, people like Maria Momoto, people like Amlen, people like what's his name? Yukan Tavuk, people like Ahmad Septa, people like Bana, people like Explorer, people like H Games, February, among others, really. Zero Requiem, one of those, and all the others, and all the others, and all the others that take time to enjoy our content. People like Morris Kato Lubega, thank you so much for the love and support. People like Alex Arinitwe, people like Steve, thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for the love and support. Anyways, let's kick things off with Paul Pogba. Yes, the former Manchester United and ex-Juventus midfielder. We all know what happened to him with what was regarded to be a breach of anti-doping rules that sort of got him suspended, eventually culminated in having his contract with Juventus terminated, and ever since he's been without a club. And so, but he's been really training. At one time, he was training from the USA, trying to get back in shape, trying to make sure he stays fit, waiting for his next best opportunity, looking for the best club that he can join next. Probably, asking his agent day in, day night to find him where he can apply his trade going forward, because he's not retired. He's far from being retired. That's Paul Pogba. And he's been searching and looking for where he can play his football next. And it looks like there could be, light at the end of the tunnel. There could be light at the end of the tunnel. So the whole of last season, he did not kick a ball. And that was unfortunate. That was unfortunate for him, really. Of course, he did have a suspension and that kind of thing. But at only 32 years of age, he says he still has a lot to offer in the game. He still has a lot to offer. In one way or the other, you could say his career has sort of gone by him, especially in these latter years. After he left Manchester United and returned to Juventus, it's not really been the same. He's not been the same player. A lot has happened for him on and off the pitch. We've had, wrangles between him and the brother, things about sorcery and things of that nature, really. So, things of that nature, really. So, anyways, let's hope it all works out. But he has an offer from AS Monaco to join them as a free agent, of course, and he gets to play football. He has ambitions of getting back into the French national team prior to the start of the FIFA World Cup. That is a World Cup 2026 that will be played in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. So those are his ambitions, and he has an offer from Monaco. Of course, as he looks to return after his doping ban, he did serve that ban, and it's long over. It's long over. So he took that return, and Monaco is one of those clubs, at least one of the big clubs. He would want to play for perhaps a bigger club than Monaco, but not many. I do not think there's any that has offered him the opportunity. So far, it's Monaco that have sort of come out to say, look here, we know what you're capable of. Yes, you're far from your best, but we can offer you a contract. And they are willing to offer him a 2-year contract, and he gets his career back on track, if that can if it's a possibility. Because giving him a contract is one thing, but also getting back on the pitch to start playing and be good, maybe even if it's just as half as good as a prime Paul Pogba, then it could mean the world to him and perhaps the world to AC Monaco. So he's a 2018 World Cup winner with France, of course. His credentials are nothing to be questioned, but uh, that's the offer he has, a 2-year contract for Monaco, and he's weighing his options, or he's considering that to see. Talks are ongoing have been ongoing for a number of weeks with Paul Pogba training before preseason as he plots a return to action. Of course, he was previously suspended, like I said, after being found sort of guilty, or for lack of a better word. And this is according to BBC Sport. It says Pogba was provisionally suspended after being randomly tested following Juventus' opening game of the 2023-2024 season against Udinese. He later received a 4-year ban, which was slashed to 18 months in October. Following an appeal, he agreed to mutual termination of his contract with Juventus in November and has been a free agent, ever since. And basically, that's really what happened. He was subject to a random test. The random test came back as positive or found in breach of anti-doping rules. Of course, he denied any sort of wrongdoing whatsoever or intentional wrongdoing. He says he could have ingested it, maybe as part of medication or vitamins or food supplements and things of that nature, but it was not intentional. Really, for him to go out and breach those anti-doping rules. So he found himself in that kind of position. It earned him a 4-year ban. Of course, he did appeal that decision, and it was reduced to 18 months. That's how he ended up not playing the whole of last season. He had his contract ripped apart mutually with Juventus, and he's been a free agent. So Monaco have come up to say, look here, we're a French team, you're a French international, we know what you've been able to do in the past. And by the way, Monaco in recent times, I do not know, but they've sort of become the French-Italian side, if that makes sense. By that, I mean the profile of some of the players they're signing is of that age, usually, that we normally expect or that we normally see players go on to the Italian Serie A. And when you look at Paul Pogba at 32 years of age that they are offering a contract, they just confirmed the signing of Eric Dyer from Bayern Munich. He's joining them as a free agent. Now, of course, for those of you that are wondering, yes, Eric Dyer is a part of the squad for Bayern Munich that is going to be playing at the FIFA Club World Cup, similarly to Leroy Sané, who has already joined Galatasaray. So remember, their contracts run until the 30th of June. So until then, they are still Bayern Munich players. So they ought to play for Bayern Munich. So they still have contracts to serve, but they've already joined AC Monaco and Galatasaray respectively. So when it comes to Eric Dyer, really, his age profile, again, he's what? He's 31 years of age. And remember when at the time when they signed Cesc Fabregas, again, he was around that age. So over a course of period of time, AC Monaco have sort of regressed, or in a way, that's how I would want to look at it, and started signing senior players, players that are nearing the ends of their careers, as we normally see Italian clubs do. But that's the update on Paul Pogba. Anyways, allow me move away from Paul Pogba quickly and get on to the next best news. Now, this we've spoken about before. It's more of it's a moment for me to say, I told you so. M2NX gamer says, hi boss. M2NX is not here for the first time. He's one of the people that have supported us on this channel. So good to have you back, M2NX gamer. How are you doing? How has been your day? Please do not forget to click that like on the broadcast. But thank you for always sparing the moment to join us on this broadcast. It's always a pleasure to have you around. So it's my moment to say, I told you so. or I sort of expected this to happen. It was bound to happen. Not that it's definitely going to go the way some people would hope it to go, but at least we want this would happen. And that is the issue regarding Bryan Mbeumo and Tottenham Hotspurs. Tottenham Hotspurs. You remember, I was here in the morning the other day, last night, that was on Thursday night, Thursday morning, and I was speaking about Thomas Frank, and I said as soon as he joins Tottenham Hotspurs as the replacement for Ange Postecoglou, expect him to be linked with some of his former players. And no sooner had he joined than we did receive news or reports that Tottenham had held discussions with Brentford over the signing of Bryan Mbeumo. Now, again, I said this would happen, because it usually does happen. When a manager leaves club A and joins club B, he's oftentimes bound to be linked with a player or two from his former club. And practically that's what's happening. But I must also reaffirm that Tottenham already had interest in signing Bryan Mbeumo. Tottenham were among the 4 clubs that had expressed interest in signing Bryan Mbeumo from Brentford. Among them was Arsenal, Chelsea, Newcastle, and Tottenham Hotspurs. Now, at that point, Manchester United were not even in the picture. But then suddenly, according to the Athletic, they came out to reveal that the player did favor or fancy a move to Old Trafford, even without Champions League football or European football, as opposed to any other offers. They are in. Hi, Odi. Good to have you back. Thank you for sparing a minute to, join with us. Yesterday, you left us quickly without answering our questions. Where you're joining us from, how your day's been, what country are you joining us from? Please do let us know. But it's always a pleasure to have you back on the broadcast and on the channel. We do appreciate you sparing a minute or more than just a minute to be with us on this broadcast. Much appreciated for the love and support. So we spoke about it. So when that news came that he did fancy a move to Old Trafford, how old are you? I'm in my 30s. That's all I can say. I can't say specifically, but at least I'll give you that. Anyways, so like I said, so once Man United learned of that the player did fancy a move to Old Trafford, then they moved in to Brentford and made their initial bid, which was in the region of £55 million, with £45 million being the guaranteed fees and the £10 million to be in expected add-ons. So Brentford did turn down that offer, saying they did value the player at a little more than that. They do value him at around £70 million. So meaning Manchester United's initial bid was 15 million pounds shy of what Tottenham Hotspurs would love to get. Would love to get for the 25-year-old Cameroon international. So I can see I have a question from how long have you been here? Gamer, how long have I been here, like for this particular broadcast or for the lifespan of the YouTube channel? Please clarify on that question. If you're asking for for this particular broadcast, it's been what? About 15 minutes since we kicked off this broadcast. But in regards to the length of the channel, if that's what you mean, do clarify, and I'll give you an answer to that as well. So pretty much we did see it coming. So it's basically what is happening. So Brentford turned down that offer, also benchmarking on the fact that United did activate a £62.5 million release clause for Matthias Cunha to get him out of Wolves. So Brentford are basically saying, yeah, our player is equally that good. He does command fees in that region or even in the excess of that, and that's what we want if we are to let him go. So United went back. There were some reports that they had met a second bid in the excess of £60 million, although we didn't get to hear what the feedback was from Brentford. But it came at the time when Tottenham Hotspurs had sacked Ange Postecoglou and then had approached Thomas Frank and eventually Brentford over, scooping the 51-year-old Danish manager. So I think maybe things sort of maybe conversations with United were put on a pause for a little bit to say, hold on, let's first settle this situation with our manager, because if we are to lose him, then maybe our circumstances change. Not particularly in letting the player go, but maybe in terms of what our priorities are at the moment. So, of course, Tottenham Hotspurs ended up paying the £10 million sort of exit clause for Thomas Frank, and he has left Brentford and since been named the new manager at Tottenham Hotspur. So in the wake of that news, Tottenham went back and have held conversations with Brentford over Bryan Mbeumo. Now, according to reports, the player still does fancy a move to Old Trafford, but it is believed that Thomas Frank could sway him into, or could persuade him into moving with him from West London to North London. And again, this was according to, or this is according to Ben Jacobs of Give Me Sport says, and sorry, he says, although Tottenham have stepped up their interest in Bryan Mbeumo, as called by, initially called by Sky Sport, conversations are not yet advanced. Brentford want in excess of £60 million, but Mbeumo's preferred option is still Manchester United. Spurs made aware of this, but but before Thomas Frank joined. So you can see that the joining of Thomas Frank as a new manager at Tottenham Hotspurs, like I said, could tilt the scales in Tottenham's favor a bit there. So a lot will depend on whether United meet the valuation Spurs are prepared to better. Manchester United is rejected a £55 million offer if given encouragement, but they also have Anton Semenyo and Taylor Dibling on their list. Taylor Dibling, yes, yesterday, I think yesterday, in one of yesterday's broadcasts, we spoke about Anton Semenyo, who I think scored 11 goals and provided 5 assists throughout last campaign. Really. So yeah, Tottenham are really, really interested in signing him. So again, let's wait and see how that also transpires. But they do hold concrete interest in signing. Brother, I like you. Can I know what topics you talk about? Mainly I talk about football, and although our concentration is usually around the Premier League, it does extend beyond just the Premier League, and we'll bring you the latest of news from the major leagues across Europe. That's if there's major news in the Spanish La Liga, we'll tackle it. In the Italian Serie A, if there's something worth talking about in the French League One, we'll pick on it. If it is in the German Bundesliga, as well as that, but entirely, essentially, it's around football, and that's why I do say I'm really, really appreciative of Team India, because while they are largely fans of cricket, they've been on this channel and have supported me, I think, more than any other country, if I'm being honest. Of course, Uganda notwithstanding. So I found that quite encouraging and really, really impressive. So that's to answer M2NX Gamer's question. So, but thank you for asking that question, really, and I hope it does answer your queries. So, among the players that Tottenham Hotspurs are looking at is Anton Semenyo, who, like, very, very impressive season. I would Bournemouth, although it is believed that Bournemouth also value him at around £70 million, which I find are quite exaggerated, to be honest. Even if it should be anywhere between 40 to £45 million at most. That's my own assessment of the player. And then when it comes to Taylor Dibling, I think this one at Southampton, in 33 appearances, only 2 goals, but I remember his former manager, Imaso Martin, saying that he is one to watch. He is one to watch. He is the most exciting young talent. He is seen and coached. So that one is one to watch. But Tottenham are back in the race for Bryan Mbeumo, and United should be really concerned. They either move faster and also meet the valuation of Brentford for the player if they want to win this race, or else Tottenham could snatch him out of their hands, like literally. Which then, excuse me, which then takes us to the next chapter of tonight's conversation, and this has to do everything with Nico Williams. Now, for those of you that do remember, I think either at the start of this month or at the tail end of the last one, I sat here before you on a different broadcast and I told you about an interview that Barcelona director had conducted, and that was Deco, and how he went on to speak that that they were interested in signing, that they did appreciate Luis Diaz of Liverpool and Marcus Rashford of Manchester United. Of course, those comments didn't rub Arne Slot the right way. I think that was before the end of the season, because when Arne Slot was asked about those comments, he did say his response was, "We also like Lamine Yamal," basically to say, as if to say, if you want to come for Luis Diaz, we will also come for Lamine Yamal. And guess what? Barcelona went on to firm up that interest with inquiries for Luis Diaz, and Liverpool rebuffed those, said, no, we are not open to selling Luis Diaz. That's the 28-year Colombian international. We're not open to selling. But just around the same time, the Barcelona president, Joan Laporta, had also done some interviews. Now, he also spoke about some of the players that they do have at the club who was being considered for contract renewals and things of that nature, and then what players they were sort of interested in looking to strengthen their squad. And among the players he spoke about was Wojciech Szczesny, how they wanted him to stay. I think he mentioned something to do with Robert Lewandowski. He mentioned something to do with Ansu Fati, that they really liked the player and they wanted to offer him a new contract. However, as we speak, Ansu Fati is closer to joining AC Monaco on a season-long loan with an option, I think, with an obligation to buy for about 12 million euros. So if AC Monaco can come to terms with the player over a move, so again, that tells you of how sometimes football executives say one thing and yet they mean another, or they plan to do something totally different. So among the many things he spoke about was Nico Williams, and he did say last summer we were interested, but this summer no. And I remember when we were doing that story, or when I was covering that story, I said, do not count Barcelona off just yet, because they're capable of saying one thing and doing another. And the very example I cited in that moment was that of Ansu Fati, because they had renewed contracts for the manager, Hansi Flick, whose initial contract was set to end in June 2026. It was extended by a further year to June 2027. Rafinha had his contract extended until June 2028. Lamine Yamal has since had his contract extended, I think, until June 2031 or 2030, thereabout. So after all those were extended, we're waiting. Does Ansu Fati get his contract also renewed? Well, instead of getting it renewed, they're busy listening to offers of a loan move, of a loan approach from AC Monaco. So, and now they are back in for Nico Williams, a player they said that they had moved on from when they failed to sign him last summer, and that they had moved on to other targets. And when he said they had moved on to other targets, that's when Deco, the sporting director, came out to reveal that they had moved on and they were considering Luis Diaz and Marcus Rashford. They did hold conversations with both players' camps, but they did not make so much headway. And now they are back in for, guess who? Nico Williams. And the player, like I said before, he was always open to joining Barcelona. He has always been open to joining Barcelona. He would prefer to stay in Spain. That's his preference. But guess, at the time when they've come in, the player had just given Bayern Munich a nod that he would be okay moving to Munich, and that's if they are willing to pay a gross salary of up to 20 million euros per season. Remember, he's on really high wages with Athletic Bilbao, and even Athletic Bilbao themselves are considering giving him a new contract and then have his release clause, which is approximately around 58 to 60 million euros, increased further higher. So again, a lot of missing pieces. Meanwhile, Arsenal and Chelsea are also interested in the same player. But after Bayern Munich lost Leroy Sané, who is now joined formally Galatasaray, signed a 3-year contract and returned to Bayern Munich to be part of the FIFA Club World Cup, after which he will then return to Galatasaray. After confirming that, of course, they knew that the likelihood of that happening, and that's why they drew up a shortlist of players that they could sign for potential replacements for Leroy Sané as well as Kingsley Coman. And on that list were players like Rafael Leao, Kaoru Mitoma, Cody Gakpo of Liverpool, Bradley Barcola was the most recent name to join the list, as well as Nico Williams. Now, I think they made inquiries with Paris Saint-Germain and learned quickly that a deal would be a little too difficult to pull off, if not too expensive, because Paris Saint-Germain would like to keep Bradley Barcola, the 22-year-old French international, who has also attracted interest from Liverpool. So, and now, once they got wind of that, they then moved to their second best alternative, Nico Williams. They knew about his release clause, which I think they find quite manageable. But then the sticking point has always been around his wages, which are reported to be in the region of 7 to 8 million euros as net salary per annum. Now, or per season. Now, again, that's where Bayern Munich were sort of, that's their sticking point. But nonetheless, they were still pondering their situation as they moved on with negotiations with the players' agents, and they got that feeling or that signal that he would be open to joining them. While they were still, deciding whether should we go ahead and, talk to Athletic Bilbao, perhaps, and then get to talk terms with the player. Barcelona are back in the conversation, according to multiple sources. Let's start with, Fabrizio Romano, who says, after meeting with Bayern twice, Nico Williams met with Barcelona today, as Sport reported, and Lamine Yamal has just shared this picture on Instagram. Now, Lamine Yamal went on to share a picture of him celebrating a goal with Nico Williams. I think this is a picture when Spain, when Nico Williams scored that leading goal against France in the semi-finals of the UEFA Nations League. So, and then he came back to say that Nico Williams' agent met with Barcelona today after 2 meetings with Bayern, and the player is open to Barcelona move this summer as confirmed. And then he says more on that is that Barcelona got a clear message from the player being open to joining the club this summer. Bayern are willing to make an effort, but he is also on Arsenal's list, while Barca have their chance now. Athletic are ready to offer him a new deal if he stays. So now it's become a question of if. If he chooses to stay with Athletic Bilbao, they will give him an improved offer or improved contract. And to build further on that, Ben Jacobs says that he understands that Nico Williams is open to taking a reduced salary, or is open to reduced salary demands to join Barcelona. Now, again, you can see what really happens with these players when they really, really want to join a particular club. That could be their dream move. Money becomes a non-issue for some reason. Not that they want to go, they can go there and play for free, but they are willing to take pay cuts. They are willing to take pay cuts to stay within those realms, to be under consideration. So Deco held a meeting today with Williams' agent, told it was communicated William will agree to about 12 million euros, a gross number discussed 12 months ago. Bayern also want Williams, and Athletic Bilbao have started a new contract talks as revealed. So you can see the situation around Nico Williams. Bayern Munich want him, Barcelona want him, Barcelona back in for him, Arsenal want him, Chelsea have considered him. But for all the teams that want to sign him, the sticking point has always been his wages. And the reason as to why Arsenal were reluctant to firm up their interest in the player was because they did not want to have the player demand higher wages than some of their stars. I mean, you can't just walk in your first season, you barely kick the ball for the club, and suddenly you're earning more than those players that have been loyal to the club for the last 3 or 4 years or even longer. So it sort of became, I think, a little bit difficult for Arsenal to ponder through. I do not know how far they went with their inquiries on the player side or what kind of discussions they did have, but at least they had yet to firm up their interest or to make progressive talks as those that Bayern Munich had held in the previous or during the course of this week. And as we've come to understand that there were 2 meetings with Bayern Munich regarding a potential move to the Allianz Arena, that the player was open to it. Now, Barcelona, out of the blue, although, yes, I say out of the blue because they seem to have pulled out of the rest for Nico Williams, saying that their attention was on the likes of Luis Diaz, who Liverpool have told them they're not willing to sell to them or is not for sale at the moment. And then, of course, and then Marcus Rashford, who Manchester United are willing to sell. And even when we were speaking about Manchester United, I did reveal to you that he would need to take a pay cut, which he was open to if it meant he was going to join Barcelona. So, I mean, that is the situation. So, Barcelona back in for Nico Williams is willing to take a pay cut or reduce his appetite for higher salary and that kind of thing if it means a move to Barcelona. We spoke about this deal last summer. He has always preferred to join Barcelona. He has always been of the preference to stay in Spain. I mean, he stays in Spain. He stays with his brother, Nico Williams, who does play also at Athletic Bilbao. So basically, that is what is really happening with the player, and you expect a lot more to come. Expect a lot more to come on that regard. Expect a lot more to come with that respect. But anyways, we'll keep tabs on that story and see if where it does end. But when Barcelona are in for Nico Williams, I do not think other clubs really have a chance. I really don't think so, because the money question goes out of the window in regards to meeting his wage demands, and it becomes the player's dream. I've always wanted to play for Barcelona, and that's it. That basically concludes it. So it's up to Barcelona to say, we are willing to pay his release clause. We're going to activate it. We have negotiations with Bilbao, and if we can get the job done there, the player will be ours. Basically, that's my expectation. Anyways, it is what it is. But moving away from Nico Williams, Erik ten Hag is interested in signing Justin Kluivert from Bournemouth. He wants him as a replacement for Florian Wirtz. Now, Justin Kluivert is one of the players that I think has played across literally the entire European top 5 leagues. He's been in Italy, he's been in France, I think with Monaco, he's been, in Spain, he's in the UK now with AFC Bournemouth, he was with AC Roma in Italy, and now I think he had a stint in Germany. Yes, he's had a stint in Germany, and now they want him back to Germany. And the new Bayer Leverkusen manager, that's Erik ten Hag, is the one demanding for his signature. Now, according to reports, Bournemouth wouldn't want to sell. They really wouldn't want to sell him, because it looks like they've lost quite enough or a number of players already. He's only 26 years of age. For those of you that do remember, his father is Patrick Kluivert, a Dutch legend, but we're talking about a player that has played for a whole host of clubs. Now, here's how he started his career. He started his career at Jong, Ajax. That's the Ajax juniors, He then moved to the Ajax senior team. That was between 2016 and 2018. He then made the transfer to Roma. That was AC Roma in 2018. And then during his contract with Roma, that's when he went on loan to RB Leipzig in Germany. That's why I was telling you he's had a stint in Germany. Then he had a loan spell with Nice. So the loan spell at RB Leipzig was between 2020 to 2021. That was the season. And then 2021, 2022, he went to Nice. That's in the French League One, not Monaco, as earlier speculated. And then the subsequent season, 2022, 2023, he went out on loan to Valencia, where in 26 appearances scored 6 goals. Then after that he made a formal move to AFC Bournemouth. So he's been at AFC Bournemouth since July 2023 or the summer of 2023 up to date. 66 appearances so far, 19 goals scored. So now he is a target for Bayer Leverkusen. During his loan spell at RB Leipzig, he made 19 appearances and scored 3 goals for them. So while his loan spell at Nice, he made 27 appearances and scored 4 goals. So that's the player being targeted by Bayer 04 as a replacement for Florian Wirtz. So anyways, those have been some of the major stories that did make the headlines today. Then maybe the other story is that James Milner, at 39 years of age, has extended his contract with Brighton and Hove Albion for a further year. And according to Fabian Hartzler, the manager, he said last season he wasn't able to help the team on the pitch as much as he would have liked, but around the squad, his experience is invaluable, especially for the young players. The manager, Fabian Hartzler, speaking as to why a 39-year-old James Milner has had his contract with the club renewed. So then, speaking of Florian Wirtz to Liverpool, that deal is as good as done. That deal is as good as done. Only that the player is on holiday, but his medical is scheduled for next week for him to make the formal move and complete the transfer. The total package will be a record 150 million euros. Speaking of a record 150 million euros for Florian Wirtz, we have done a video or an episode about this particular transfer, trying to discuss how we think it could impact, trying to understand or make sense of how it could impact our transfer business for other clubs during the course of this summer, especially clubs who have interest in players that do play in the German Bundesliga. And among those, we do speak about Arsenal, who are interested in signing Benjamin Sesko from RB Leipzig. We talk about Chelsea and Liverpool, and now Manchester United, all who are interested in signing Hugo Ekitike from Eintracht Frankfurt. We talk about Chelsea, who are interested still in signing Jamie Gittens from Borussia Dortmund, and then also elsewhere around Europe, as well as the Premier League itself, because Bayer Leverkusen made the demands of 150 million euros as the valuation of the 22-year-old German forward or playmaker, and that in itself caused Manchester City to walk away saying that the player was overpriced or overvalued. And guess what? They've gone on to sign 4 players in Ryan Ashnory, Tijani Reinders, Ryan Cherki, as well as Marcus Bentinelli, and then an 18-year-old Sevre Nipan from the Norwegian League for a combined, 20 or 20 something, million pounds. That's what 4 or 5 players. Marcus Bentinelli from Chelsea as their third choice goalkeeper, and yet Liverpool have spent all that money on one. Anyways, if you want to understand our arguments, why we think that Liverpool agreeing to pay that high a fee for a player like Florian Wirtz may soil negotiations for other clubs in their pursuit of other players. We are talking about a player like Hugo Ekitike, who is targeted by Liverpool, Chelsea, and Manchester United, is valued at 100 million euros. What's not to say that those clubs are also going to, that Frankfurt is equally going to hold it up and say, look, Liverpool, you want Hugo Ekitike? You just agreed to pay 150 million euros. For Florian Wirtz, well, the value of Ekitike is 100 million euros. You either pay that or you walk away. They'll tell Chelsea the same thing. They'll tell Manchester United the same thing. Benjamin Sesko is valued anywhere between 80 to 100 million euros. RB Leipzig will be telling Arsenal the same thing. I suspect it will be a similar story when it comes to negotiations with a Sporting CP for any clubs that want to sign, Victor Gyökeres. But anyways, for the broader context of that particular argument or conversation, do check out our video on the channel. I'll leave the link to it down in the description, where we get to talk about that deal for Florian Wirtz to Liverpool. And the headline to it is how Liverpool's 150 million Florian Wirtz deal could soil the market for others in this transfer window. So we do make some compelling arguments. Either you agree with them or you disagree with them. But if you do agree with them, do let us know. If you do disagree with them, just go and watch the video and leave your comment down in the comment section. So, but the total package is believed to be that it will rise up to 150 million euros. Now, the guaranteed fees in payment is going to be 100 million pounds. That's what Liverpool will pay. Quite similar to what Man City paid for Jack Grealish, what Arsenal paid for Declan Rice. But there's a 16 million pounds in add-ons. Now, those add-ons are usually around achievements. If Florian Wirtz is in the team and you win the Premier League title and you win the UEFA Champions League and you win the FA Cup, and during that course he's made this number of appearances, maybe he scored that number of goals and things of that nature. So then those add-ons do go into effect, and that story, I think, earlier on being broken by David Ornstein, the usual suspect from the Athletic. Oh, sorry about that. From the Athletic, saying that Liverpool strike a verbal agreement with Bayer Leverkusen to sign Florian Wirtz. Paperwork to be drafted for a deal worth 100 million pounds plus 16 million pounds for the 22-year-old German playmaker to do medical before completing a move from Bayer Ofo to Liverpool, expected to sign a 5-year contract. So he did already agree to personal terms, and according to certain sources, he is going to be earning around a gross salary of 20 million euros per season. So I do not know how much that it goes down to as net pay, but that's quite significant. That's quite significant a wage for him to earn. I think what's the other name? There's somebody that was speaking. I think it was Ben Jacobs who tried to sort of break it down further for us. But I'll see if I can find that story as well. But Liverpool fans, stay calm. Maria Momoto, Amlen, Gaddafi, Joel Niwagaba, Aldrin Insobuga, Fifi Fiona Pinky, Nelly T's of H Media, who else? And all the Liverpool fans out there, really, and all the Liverpool fans out there, Kanari Mugume, and everybody else that does support Liverpool. Just stay calm. Florian Wirtz is going to be your player by the end of next week. Then Real Madrid did confirm the signing of Franco Mastantuono, who will start his chapter after on August 14th. That's after the FIFA Club World Cup, because by then he will have turned 18. But for now, he's going to be part of he's going to be part of he's going to be part of Liverpool Plate's squad for the FIFA Club World Cup. Now, guess where he loves to play? The same role in which, Rodrigo Goes loves to play. Speaking of Rodrigo Goes, Arsenal defender Gabriel Magalhaes was doing an interview in Brazil, spoke about his injury, saying he's okay now, and which is good news for Arsenal fans. But also say he spoke with huge praise of Rodrigo Goes and said if it were up to him, he would sign him as soon as yesterday. He said he has spoken to people about him. He spoke to the director, I think referring to Arsenal's sporting director in Andrea Bata about Rodrigo Goes. Now, it's been widely reported that Arsenal are interested in Rodrigo Goes. But of course, it will be expensive a deal for Arsenal to do in the same window when they are also trying to find a striker who is not going to come cheap. Now, here's what I do think, or the feeling I get, that the price of a striker that Arsenal do get will determine how expensive a winger, especially the left winger that they so badly need, will cost. So, for example, if they go out and let's say make an outlay of let's say 80 million euros or 100 up to 100 million euros for a striker, then that means that the left winger that they do sign may be a cheaper option. Could be a cheaper option because that deal means they have less cash left in the bag to go and spend. But if they can get a striker at a manageable fee, let's say about 70 million euros or even less, then they could get a big name signing for their left wall, for the winger. That's my expectation. But Franco Mastattuano is officially a Real Madrid player, joining on a 6-year deal from River Plate in a deal believed to be $45 million that will be paid over a course of installments, snatching that one out of the hands, literally, of Paris Saint-Germain. Now, I do think Franco Mastattuano is a club signing and not a manager signing or a coach signing. Now, here's what Real Madrid usually do. They sign good players and tell the manager, get the best out of him. Remember Carlo Ancelotti's comments when he was asked why he didn't select Endrick for the Brazil national team. He said because he doesn't play enough games at his club. Guess what his club is? Real Madrid. Guess who was the manager / head coach there? It was Carlo Ancelotti. So, I mean, there you have it. So the club went and signed a player. He wasn't the manager's ask, and he didn't have anything against him, to be honest. He did give him some bit of game time here and there, but overall he didn't play that much for him. And Adagula is also in there, so let's wait and see. And I think the signing of Franco Mastattuano, coupled with the availability of Adagula, the likes of Brahim Diaz, and in some form or shape, Endrick, is what sort of solidifies further that Rodrigo Goes could leave Real Madrid by the end of the summer. Now, unfortunately, Arsenal fans, or even Arsenal itself, if they do dream of signing Rodrigo Goes, they may have to wait, because until late on in the summer, it could be that type of Mesut Ozil signing. It could be that sort of late signing, that very, very big signing that comes a little late. That's what I do get the feeling. But anyways, it's mere speculation. Let's wait and see. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. But yeah, that's those have been the major stories of the day. Really around those players, around Nico Williams, around Paul Pogba, around Florian Wirtz, around Bryan Mbeumo, around Franco Mastattuano, around Anton Semenyo. We spoke about Kevin De Bruyne completing his move to Napoli. He's a Napoli player officially. Of course, AC Milan are waiting for Luka Modric to finish with Real Madrid. Leroy Sané has made the switch to Galatasaray. He did snap Fenerbahce while at it. And Nico Williams is now the hot cake. Barcelona interested, Arsenal Bayern Munich. Bradley Bacola, Liverpool interested. Arsenal interested. Bayern Munich interested. Rafael Leao, Saudi Pro League clubs interested. Bayern Munich interested. The player would want to move away from AC Milan. But let's wait and see how all that does, transpire. Whether Kaoru Mitoma will eventually leave Brighton and Hove Albion, that remains to be seen. Iwan Wissa, let's wait and see. And who Brentford will appoint for their next manager, because among them is Scott Parker, while the other on that list is also Kian McKenna of Ipswich Town. Anyways, before we wind down this particular broadcast, let's look at some of the latest gossip in as far as transfers are concerned. Let's see. We did speak about Liverpool as making inquiries or considering a potential signing, a potential move for Victor Osimhen, and then we've spoken previously before about Newcastle's interest in João Pedro from Brighton and Hove Albion. That's been widely reported, but here is the latest in as far as the transfer gossip is concerned. Newcastle have stepped up their interest in Brighton and Brazil forward João Pedro after learning the 23-year-old would be interested in signing for Ed Howe's side. That's according to the Telegraph. While Bayer Leverkusen are poised to make a bid for Manchester City's English attacking midfielder James McAtee, only 22 years of age when the transfer window reopens. That's according to Sky Sport. Napoli are competing with clubs from Saudi Arabia for the signing of Uruguay striker Darwin Núñez from Liverpool. Now, Al Hilal is one of those interested in signing Darwin Núñez after being turned down by Victor Osimhen. Then Aston Villa have made an approach to sign 19-year-old Spanish winger Jesus Rodriguez from Real Betis. That's according to the Athletic. While Crystal Palace are interested in signing Millwall's 26-year-old English centre-back Japhet Tanganga, formerly at Manchester United, who is said to have a 1.2 million release clause available to all Premier League clubs this summer. Sunderland, Leeds, and Burnley are all also keen on Japhet Tanganga. Sorry, not formerly at Manchester United, formerly at Tottenham Hotspurs. I sort of confused him with Axel Twanzebe. It was Axel Twanzebe that was formerly at Man United. Tanganga was at Tottenham Hotspurs. Just to correct you on that one. Then new Tottenham manager Thomas Frank is plotting a move to bring 25-year-old Cameroon winger Bryan Mbeumo and DRC Congo forward Iwan Wissa, 28, to Tottenham Hotspurs from his former club. That's according to the Guardian, who's spoken widely about Bryan Mbeumo, while Rangers are set to let 30-year-old Craig Dessers to join AEK Athens, with the Nigerian striker agreeing a 30,000 a week deal with the Greek side. And then Roma have opened talks with Brighton to sign Denmark midfielder Matti O'Reilly, only 24 years of age. Wolves are interested in Celta Vigo's Spanish midfielder Fa Lopez, only 21 years of age. Then after signing Leroy Sané on a free transfer, Galatasaray have met with representatives of Manchester City midfielder Ilkay Gundogan, 34 years of age, to bring the former German international to Turkey. Now remember, Ilkay Gundogan is a Turkish who plays for the German national team. Same thing with Mesut Ozil. Then Lazio are interested in signing Ruben Loftus-Cheek, 29, from AC Milan, reuniting the English midfielder with his former Chelsea manager Mauricio Sarri, while Marseille and Porto are among the clubs interested in signing Swedish winger Ronny Berg, 19 years of age, from Copenhagen. So there you have it. That's the latest from the world of transfer gossip and speculation. So then the other video we're going to be soon putting out is why I think Arsenal should be signing more than one striker. That one will be coming as well. There's something we had wanted to do around Manchester United, but some new information came to light and sort of changed the entire context of the video the way we had wanted to do it. So I can't say I abandoned the project, but I'm really considering doing something around Manchester United, and it will come soon. Just be patient with me on that, Manchester United fans. But thank you so much, guys, for watching. Thank you so much to our new community members. Thank you so much for the love and support. Let's meet tomorrow morning, early in the morning. We are moving away from the hour of between 11 to midday to move much closer to the morning hours for our Saturday morning sports update. So just turn your notifications on and you will be notified once we do go live. So be sure if God grants us the life and other factors are kept constant, I mean to say power and internet being stable, we'll be back here to speak morning sport on Saturday morning. Otherwise, it's been a pleasure having you. Have yourselves a wonderful rest of the night. Yeah, it's been 1 hour, but do not forget to check out all our content under our short section under the videos. Those who watch our live broadcast much later after they've been broadcast, we do not take your support for granted. We do appreciate you as well. Have yourselves a wonderful night. Bye-bye.